Part 9. Qin Ye's little ancestor is a real boss. Author, Junanan. Chapter 81. Nan Yan patted the back of her hand calmly. Grandma, thank you for your kindness, but you can't. Why not? Mrs. Qin didn't understand. Yan Yan, are you worried about something? Don't worry, with Grandma here, you don't have to worry about anything. Mrs. Qin is the old Buddha of the Qin family. She has everything she says at home and is supported by a group of people below her. Except for Qin Lu, who can influence her thoughts and force her from time to time, everyone else obeys her words. She wanted to take a little girl back, and absolutely no one dared to say anything. Nan Yan shook his head. I want to rely on my own strength to get into Tiandu University. I don't want to go through the back door. Then you can take the exam yourself, Madame Qin said anxiously. If you can pass the exam on your own strength, we don't have to go through the back door. Nan Yan said seriously, but, I like the school and teachers here. The expression on Mrs. Qin's face suddenly dropped. Okay. Then Grandma is leaving today. You must remember to miss Grandma. Yeah, I'll remember it, Nan Yan coaxed. Grandma will call you often when you go back. Well, when I have time, I will also give Grandma a call. As promised, don't let your words fail to count. Yeah. Really? Nan Yan agreed to end conditions and finally made the old lady happy again. Mrs. Qin looked at the time, calculated the time for the plane to arrive, and asked Nan Yan for advice. Yan Yan, let's go out to eat today. Well, I'm going to change clothes and go out to eat. Nan Yan stood up. When will brother come back? Do you want to call him? It's probably going to be soon. Let's wait for him together. If it weren't for creating opportunities for her eldest grandson and granddaughter-in-law to be together, she wouldn't want to call him. The old lady holds a grudge. She has clearly remembered Qin Lu's crimes in her little notebook. But since he found her such a lovely and lovable granddaughter-in-law, she didn't deal with him yet. If he doesn't abduct her grandson-in-law back home, the old and new debts will be settled together. Hashtag. Qin Lu arrived in about 30 minutes. Nan Yan has already changed her clothes. Wearing refreshing casual clothes and a baseball cap on his head, he looks youthful and energetic, and very eye-catching. Qin Lu calmly covered the emotions in his eyes and asked slowly, what do you want to eat? Anything is okay. Nan Yan doesn't care. As long as she can eat enough, she has always been able to eat anything. Brother, just make the decision. Yes, Qin Lu responded in a low voice, already making a decision in his heart. It was a pretty harmonious meal. When he was about to finish eating, Qin Lu also called. The plane has arrived. He hung up the phone and said calmly. Mrs. Qin turned around and grabbed Nan Yan's hand. Yan Yan, Grandma can't bear to leave you. Nan Yan was helpless. Grandma, you are just going home. It's not like we won't see each other again. Don't be like this. This will make her very confused. That's right, if you marry Alu, we can be together forever. The wonder on Mrs. Qin's face disappeared immediately, and then she looked at Qin Lu fiercely. Alu, you take care of my grandson-in-law. If she makes the slightest mistake, I'll break your legs. This time it was Qin Lu's turn to be speechless. He didn't know that it was just a sudden idea. He was tired of Mrs. Qin arranging endless blind dates for her and nagging in his ear, so he pushed the little girl out to block the gun. As a result, the old lady would like her like this. If he told her that the relationship between the two of them was not like that, would she be angry? Qin Lu seriously thought about this possibility, and then his eyes fell on the girl's beautiful and eye-catching face. The little girl is restless. But she has a very confusing face. She looks well-behaved and lovable, especially when her clear peach blossom eyes are staring straight at you, and she can forgive no matter how big of a mistake she makes. Qin Lu's heart suddenly moved. A thought emerged uncontrollably. Since he is so lovable and is the only one who is not disliked by him in so many years, but is willing to take care of her, then just stay with him. Then, he couldn't help but curse himself. What are you thinking about? She is still a child. He is only 18 years old, he must be crazy. Qin Lu couldn't help being irritated, his sexy Adam's apple rolled up and down, but on the surface he was indifferent, and there was no trace of what kind of psychological activities he had just experienced. He loosened the tie at the collar and looked at Nan Yan, his voice inexplicably low and hoarse. Children, my brother has to send grandma home and handle some things in the imperial capital. It will take about 3 or 4 days to come back. Can you be alone, okay? Nan Yan. Did he have some misunderstanding about her? Isn't she always alone? Is this really bringing her identity to her family? Thinking of this, Nan Yan nodded obediently. Brother, I can do it. If anything happens, call me. Nan Yan was slightly startled. I couldn't help but wonder, could it be that if I called him, he could fly back from the imperial capital immediately? Then he nodded, okay. She did not tell Qin Lu that she was going to the imperial capital on Saturday. In her opinion, this was her private matter and had nothing to do with him. Hashtag. Nan Yan didn't take a taxi home until she sent Mrs. Qin and Qin Lu to the plane. As soon as she got home, Anziran called. Yan Yan, have you eaten? Nan Yan answered the phone, changed her shoes at the entrance, took off her hat and put it on the cabinet, and then said softly, I have eaten. Fourth brother, is there anything? It's like this. Anziran pinched his eyebrows. Mom called me and told me to call you to go home for dinner tomorrow. Nan Yan's contact information is unknown to the An family except him. Lu Lahua personally spoke several times, but couldn't coax her back, so he simply set his target on him. After all, now they can see that Nan Yan only has a better relationship with him, and she doesn't want to care about the rest. See if you are free. If you are free, I will take a leave and go back. If you are not free, I will reply to her directly. I am preparing for the competition now, and I am also very busy. Anziran knew that Nan Yan didn't like to go back to the An family, so he didn't want to embarrass her. Nan Yan was silent for a moment, then said directly, you should take care of the competition first. When you are free, we will go back to see Grandpa together. Anziran nodded, then thought that they were on the phone and she couldn't see them, so she said, okay, then I will tell Mom directly that I am not free. Thank you, fourth brother, Nan Yan said politely, and asked naturally, fourth brother, are you confident in this competition? Qin Ye's little ancestor is a real boss. Author, Junanan. Chapter 82. When the competition was mentioned, Anziran sighed, alas, this time we are playing against a strong domestic opponent. Originally, our winning rate was 50-50. It's a pity that our team's main attacker is sick, and the second echelon of the team is not strong enough. We can only seize the time and practice as much as possible, so as not to lose too badly. Originally, I wanted to pull a master into the team, but that master was too cold. I looked for him several times, but he ignored me at all. Anziran pinched his eyebrows, then realized that he had said too much, and quickly stopped the topic. Yan Yan, you should rest early. I will call her back and continue training. Nan Yan, okay. After hanging up the phone, Nan Yan went to take a shower. After taking a shower and changing into pajamas, she sat at the table and called the laptop. Bayuki was still muttering whether the boss was missing. He was considering whether to call him, and then he received a message from Nan Yan. Emotions instantly excited. Why God, we are definitely in sync. Nan Yan. Bayuki, I was just about to contact you, God why, but you sent me a message first. Bayuki, what else can this be? Nan Yan, childish. She pinched her brows and sent another message, give me a few tasks. If I have nothing to do, I might as well work and earn money. Bayuki immediately came up with a bunch of tasks and sent them over. Then he sent an expression in a mean way, sir, come again. Nan Yan. After closing the dialog box with Bayuki, Nan Yan opened the tasks he sent. Bayuki stood up and jumped a few times happily, ran to the closet and took out a set of trendy clothes. Go. Have fun. Anyway, the tasks were handed over to the boss to solve, and he could be happy again. Hashtag. In an hour and a half, she solved the tasks sent by Bayuki, and then sent them to him again. Nan Yan looked at the time. It was 9:30. It seems a bit early to go to bed now. After thinking about it, Nan Yan picked up her phone and clicked on the only game on it. After logging in, she saw the friend dialog box, which was always flashing. There was only one friend on her game account. It was the Lingfeng Si Xiao who gave her 4 million and was stupid and rich. Clicking on the dialog box, a series of messages popped up. Boss, are you there? Boss, can you be the coach of our team? Boss, please help me, sincerely, please join my team, the conditions are up to you. There were about 10 messages, all of which were very eager to let her join. Nan Yan looked at these messages with a deep look in her eyes. Combined with what Anziran said to him today, she pinched her eyebrows speechlessly. Should she return the 4 million to the fourth brother? Originally, the fourth brother gave her nearly 3 million to buy a house. If she knew that this person was the fourth brother, she would definitely not take his money. Nan Yan was having a headache when she saw a new message refreshed under the dialog box she opened. Boss, you are finally online, can we chat, whatever conditions you have, just ask, even if you only want to play one game for us. Nan Yan propped up her chin, looked at the message on the screen, and frowned. Fourth brother was really good to her. She also took so much money from him. The main attacker of his team was sick again, and it seemed that there was no possibility of winning against the opponent. He was very anxious. Nan Yan sat up straight and directly typed 2 words in the dialog box, okay. In the training base. Anziran thought that he would be ignored by the name is random again this time, but he was stunned when he saw the 2 words sent by the other party. Little K poked his head over to see the message in the dialog box, and couldn't help but say in surprise, "Fourth master," the boss finally replied. Yeah, Anziran was also very excited, he agreed to talk to us, so the possibility of joining our team is more than half. Little K smiled and said, "It is your persistence and perseverance, fourth master, that made the boss see your sincerity, and the boss was moved by your sincerity." As he was talking, Anziran's phone rang. Anziran was just about to send his mobile phone number to the boss, and when he heard the phone ring, he took the phone first. Seeing Nan Yan's call, he thought there was something wrong, so he quickly answered it and typed a sentence in the dialog box, "Boss, wait a moment, I have a call here. Fourth brother, I'm talking to you." Anziran looked at the latest sentence that popped up in the dialog box and was stunned. What does the boss mean by this sentence? Fourth brother, when is the game? Nan Yan's voice came from the phone. Anziran still didn't react. Yan, why did you call me suddenly? Nan Yan leaned her head and chuckled, didn't you invite me to join your team and play with you? Yan, you just pick a name, Anziran's voice rose uncontrollably. Yes, it's me, Nan Yan answered calmly, sorry, fourth brother, I didn't know it was you before. I'll transfer the 4 million to you in a while. Don't, give them to you. Just take the flowers. If there are not enough, give them to me. Anziran has not yet digested the fact that the boss she has been looking for is actually his sister, and her brain has been in a daze. In an awkward state, Yan, how do you know how to play games? Originally, I just wanted to kill time. When I had nothing to do, I just played a few games. It turned out to be such a coincidence that every time she played with Anziran. Fourth brother, I may not be able to join your team, nor can I go to the training base to train with you, is that okay? She had too many things to do. If it weren't for the fact that the team belonged to Anziran, she would never waste this time. It was entirely because of Anziran's face that she agreed. Anziran said quickly, "Of course, you can network with us when the time comes. Your own strength is no problem. Just spare an hour every night to cooperate with us and cultivate a tacit understanding." "Okay, then it's settled. Every night between 7 and 9 o'clock, I will go online to train your tacit understanding. That's it, I'll hang up first." Anziran was still a little dizzy until she hung up the phone. "Four young masters, that boss is actually your sister." Little K shook Anziran's arm and screamed excitedly, "My sister is really amazing." Anziran finally came to his senses, raised his eyebrows, and said with a showy and proud look, "Of course, you don't want to see who the sister is. By the way, my sister's name is Yao Yao, right? What's your height and weight? I'll order a battle uniform for my sister first." "It's not that sister." Anziran's tone suddenly became cold, "it's my biological sister." You are listening to Novels at Bless Up channel. Wish you happiness and luck. Please subscribe to receive new novels. How do you feel about this novel? Please like and leave a comment. Qin Ye's little ancestor is a real boss. Author, Junanan. Chapter 83. Little K was a little confused. "Fourth young master, how many sisters do you have?" The members of the team don't know much about Anziran's family situation. They only know that he is the fourth young master of the An family, with a total of 4 brothers and a younger sister. As for the rest, no one knows that Anweo is not the biological daughter of the An family. Anziran said proudly, "I only have one sister, my dear, she is amazing." In the past, he just felt sorry for Nan Yan, but now, knowing her prowess in esports, he has become a brainless braggart. His little sister is so amazing. Simply awesome. Fairy girl. Go tell the team members that we have invited a big boss to ensure that this competition is stable. Little K looked at Anziran, who seemed to be excited about something, and was actually quite surprised that their captain still had such a side. But thinking about this period of time, Anziran was so worried about the team that he could hardly sleep. He wished he could train in front of the computer 24 hours a day. Now that he knew that the person he had been begging for was his sister, and his sister agreed to help, he must be so happy. He is happy too. Okay. Little K was equally excited to tell the other team members the good news. Anziran watched the conversation between him and Nanyan again in a somewhat unrealistic way, laughing while watching. He stretched out his hand and grabbed his granny gray hair, and solemnly changed the note in the friend column of "Any name you want to, little sister." Hashtag. Settle down. And Yeoking and Lulahua were lying on the bed. "How come I gave birth to such a rebellious and disobedient daughter? It would be great if Yao Yao was our biological daughter." Lulahua really didn't like Nanyan at all and wished she had never come to this world. Just thinking about her gave her a headache. In the past, Nanyan was indeed of little value and was a drag on us. But now, it's different. And Yeoking's eyes flashed with calculation. Her face is her biggest asset. Lulahua understood what he was thinking and didn't think there was anything wrong with using Nanyan to get married. Instead, he was worried, but she won't listen to us at all and won't even go home. How can we make her obey? What does this mean? Even if she doesn't admit it, she is still our daughter. As her parents, we have the right to decide on her marriage. Besides, the ones we choose for her must all be from powerful families. When the time comes, we will choose the one with the best conditions for her, and she will agree." And Yeoking's words relieved Lulahua's worries a lot. Yes, it's her destiny that she can marry into a wealthy family. What else can she be dissatisfied with? Wife, if you treat her better in the future, if you can coax her back, you'd better coax her back first. It is better to keep her with us than to have her wandering around outside. Those wealthy and aristocratic families take chastity very seriously, so don't let her do anything that damages their reputation. But she has been resisting me. No matter how I talk to her, it's useless. And Yeoking said earnestly, if it doesn't work once, then do it twice. If it doesn't work twice, then do it 3 times. You are her biological mother after all. She has never enjoyed maternal love in her original family. Even though she is indifferent now, she is sure in her heart. I still want maternal love. In the past 2 years, she has been neglected too much at home, which made her dissatisfied with us. When she comes back in the future, we must treat her better. When Lulahua heard what he said, he could only nod, okay. Friday. After Nan Yan entered the classroom with her school bag on her back, the classmates in the class were not as restrained as they were before. On the contrary, they all have an attitude of being prepared to watch the show, waiting for the results to come out on Monday to drive her away, so that she will never be an eyesore again. Lu Rongrong probably had a character that cared about food but not fights. She had just been quiet for a few days and started to seek death again. Some people should cherish their last 2 days at school. It is estimated that after 2 days, they will leave the campus forever. The girl sitting with her quickly tugged on her clothes to tell her not to die. Why are you dragging me? Am I not telling the truth? Do you really think you are some kind of academic god or top student? In just a few days, you want to be in the top 100 in the school. Seeing that she couldn't persuade her, her desk mate took a careful look at Nan Yan's position, then quickly looked away and picked up a book to read. Others in the class saw that Nan Yan didn't say anything this time, didn't make a move, and didn't even look at her. Could it be that she has given up? Thinking about waiting for the results to come out and not getting into the top 100, she would beg for mercy and ask them not to force her to drop out. Discussions in the group were crazy, but most of them were leaning towards this possibility. Many people felt that if they were lenient and allowed her to stay, she would definitely be grateful. In this case, driving her away seems to be a bit advantageous to her. It would be more interesting to keep her and let her be an obedient dog. At that moment, the people in the class suddenly became hardened. Sports committee member Tian Tao still wanted to avenge his previous revenge, so he stood up and walked directly to her. Nan Yan, actually, you don't need to force us to drop out of school. From now on, you must listen to us and do whatever we ask you to do. You must also apologize to all of us, and your apology must be sincere. You can stay as long as it satisfies us both. Nan Yan rested his head lazily, with a sneer in his beautiful peach blossom eyes, and asked with interest, you want me to listen to you and also apologize to you? Of course, you have done so many excessive things, how can you not apologize? Tian Tao raised his chin and became more arrogant, weren't you kicked out by the Yin family? As long as you can be our public servant, you will go to school, we cover the cost. Nan Yan turned a pen casually with his right hand, and the smile in his eyes deepened, it's only this morning, and you're having such a sweet dream, how much did you drink? Still want her to be their public servant? This imagination is connected to the Milky Way. Or maybe she had beaten them too lightly before. Tian Tao was stunned for a moment before he realized that she was saying that he was daydreaming. Being humiliated like this in front of him, he couldn't stand it, and he was afraid of her hard fist, so he snorted angrily, you're crazy, the results will be out on Monday anyway. If you don't want to drop out of school then, you have to beg us. After saying that, I wanted to go back. Nan Yan slapped the pen on the table and said, stop. Tian Tao couldn't help but feel a chill on his back, what do you want to do? Nan Yan stood up, walked in front of him, hooked her fingers at him. I want you to take action first. What do you mean? Nanyan raised her eyebrows and said, hit me. Tiantao suddenly became excited. Is she asking him to fight back and avenge his past? That must be it. Tiantao didn't care about sympathy, raised his fist, and hit Nanyan. Qin Ye's little ancestor is a real boss. Author, Junanan. Chapter 84. Nanyan easily dodged it, and then kicked Tiantao directly in the leg with a long leg, knocking him to his knees, and kicked him again to make him lie on the ground. After 2 screams, all the students in the class felt as if someone had strangled their necks, and their breathing was a little difficult. Nanyan stepped on Tiantao's back carelessly, with great force. Tiantao was stepped on and could not get up except for screaming. Are you feeling itchy because I haven't dealt with you in the past 2 days? Nanyan's cold gaze slowly swept across the classroom. No one in the class dared to look at her. If your skin is itchy, please tell me next time. I will be happy to help you loosen your muscles and bones, and I will ensure that I can help you loosen it in place. Nanyan said, stepped on Tiantao's back again, and asked leisurely, do you think so? Tiantao. He couldn't tell. I would like to advise everyone, the next time you come across my bad luck, you can withstand a beating. You are a tall guy over 1.8 meters tall and you can't even catch me twice. How did you grow? You take hormones, so it's just an appearance. Is it rotten inside? Tiantao. He wanted to find a crack in the ground and crawl in. What's wrong with him? Why bother with this guy? After Nanyan had shocked the group of classmates who were already trembling with fear, she moved away and walked to Tiantao. With her fair and delicate hands, she grabbed his hair and forced him to raise his head to look at her. Who is a slave? His tone was cold and frightening. I will be your slave, Nanyan, please, let me go. Tiantao was so scared that he was about to cry. No matter how tall and strong he is still an 18-year-old teenager who has not left school and has never seen the dangers of society. Facing Nanyan, who was like a god of death, he was really afraid. Hand over your phone. Nanyan let go of his hair in disgust, stretched out her hand to pull her chair over, sat down, and crossed her legs. Just a sitting posture is enough to be domineering. Tiantao got up, respectfully unlocked his phone and handed it to Nanyan. Nanyan opened their private group. Then he slowly swiped the screen and read through what they said. The rest of the people's nerves suddenly became tense when they saw Nanyan's move, especially the classmates who had spoken against Nanyan inside. They already felt the sickle hanging above their heads. It seems that you have a deep grudge against me, so I'll give you a chance. No, no, no. We don't dare anymore. The people, whose courage was frightened, shook their heads crazily. Don't, you say you don't dare, and then secretly start a group to scold me behind my back. What do you mean you don't dare? Nanyan's tone was very leisurely, but the coldness in his eyes was faintly revealed. She tossed Tiantao's cell phone up and down, and said in a cold voice, after school this afternoon, how about a fight on the playground? Crowd. No, they refuse. Last time all the boys in their class went together, they were also abused. Even if a girl is added this time, it won't change the outcome. Nanyan, do you dare to change your approach? Squad leader Gu Yuhao stood up and wanted to fight for a chance for them. Nanyan raised his eyebrows lazily and said, say. Do you play games? Have you ever played Shatu? Let's compete in games. If you can beat us in games, then we will recognize you as the boss from now on and never go against you again. If you can't beat us, then you can't beat us again. The rest of the people nodded wildly when they heard Gu Yuhao's suggestion. In terms of fighting, they would definitely not be able to defeat Nanyan. But if it's a game, then they can definitely beat him. Different paths are the game Nanyan plays with Anziran. In recent years, esports has gradually become popular all over the world. In particular, esports has been officially included in sports and has become a profession, attracting more and more young people. Of course, Gu Yuhao and the others are not professional esports players, but this does not prevent them from using games to relax themselves and enjoying esports games. Nowadays, 90% of the boys in the school are esports fans, and there are also many girls. Do you dare? Okay, Nan Yan's lips curved, then just do as you said and play games. But just accept me as the boss. I'll take you guys out. I think you'll be embarrassed. Gu Yuhao and the others immediately breathed a sigh of relief when they heard Nan Yan agreed. The girls in the class immediately encouraged the boys to beat Nan Yan. After Tian Tao got his phone back, he limped towards his seat, and then lay down on the table in pain. When the teacher came to class, everything had returned to normal. Tian Tao didn't have the shame to report to the teacher. Mainly because he quietly turned his head and saw Nan Yan's expression that looked like a smile but not a smile. He was immediately frightened and couldn't think of anything. Hashtag. After school in the afternoon, no one from class 2 or class 4 left. Nan Yan took out his mobile phone and logged into his game account. Gu Yuhao and others also logged in and applied for the competition. Nan Yan put on his headphones and said casually, "The time is limited, you guys come and lay down the corpses for 4 people, and start a 5v5 competitive match. I will play 1 against 5. Crowd. What a loud tone. But since she dared to say this, they would definitely not refuse. Soon, 4 girls also logged into the game and joined Nan Yan's group. A classmate in the class looked at the name of the captain Nan Yan in the team and said in confusion, "This name looks so familiar." "What name?" someone asked. "It's just a random name, I seem to have seen it somewhere before." The boy who was ready to enter the game to abuse Nan Yan was stunned after hearing this name. Gu Yuhao couldn't believe it. "You just randomly picked a name?" "The one who abused Lingfeng Si Xiao back then." Yeah, Nan Yan responded indifferently, "Are you ready?" "Get ready, start." What's the fun of this? Lingfeng Si Xiao is the captain of AEG, a professional esports player, and has participated in international competitions. He was abused by Nan Yan, and if it were them, they would not be able to beat him even if they were 1 against 5. "Nan Yan, you will be my boss from now on." A boy admitted defeat directly, and the expression he looked at Nan Yan had turned into admiration. A big man who can beat professional esports players. When the video of the battle between random name and Lingfeng Si Xiao came out, the whole network was checking her identity, and he was one of them. Unexpectedly, the boss is right next to them. "Boss, I also recognize you as the boss, and I will never go against you in the future." "And me?" "Me too." Before long, more than a dozen boys have expressed their submission to Nan Yan. The remaining few, after considering their own gap, also chose to give up. Nan Yan said coldly, "Don't call me boss, and if you don't want to be abused in the future, stay away from me." Yes, boss. Qin Ye's little ancestor is a real boss. Author, Junanan. Chapter 85. Nanyan was speechless about this title. But a group of boys seemed to have no memory of the previous conflicts between them. They gathered around her one by one, shouting, "Boss, elder, big boy," and even wanted to see her account in a mean manner. He couldn't seem to be afraid of her at all. When the girls in the class saw this change, they suddenly felt mixed emotions. Even if there was resentment in his heart, he didn't dare to show any signs of it because he was afraid of Nan Yan's cruelty. Lu Rongrong gritted her teeth. She hid in the corner and sent a message to Nweo. "Lu Rongrong, Yao Yao, I'm afraid you wouldn't have thought that that bitch from Nanyan is actually the esports great who was listed on the hot search list. You name me whatever you want." "Lu Rongrong, the boys in our class have been completely bewildered by her. They call her boss one by one. I'm afraid they will follow her lead in the future and will not target her again. Lu Rongrong, I'm really angry to death. Nwao was just sitting in the car that came to pick her up. When she saw the message from Lu Rongrong, she couldn't help but squeeze her phone tightly. How could Nanyan be named casually? Is it just because she is good at playing games that fourth brother changed his attitude towards her? That should be it. After all, she had been trying to please Anziran for so long, but Anziran's attitude towards her had always been lukewarm. At the beginning, Anziran was clearly more indifferent to Nanyan than to her. But just a few days ago, he suddenly became nice to her. It was definitely because he saw how good she was at playing games that he looked at her differently. Nwao closed her eyes to cover up the jealousy and resentment in her eyes, and then sent a message back to Lu Rongrong. Didn't you make a bet with her, if she doesn't get into the top 100, you'll let her drop out of school? Lu Rongrong felt a little better after seeing her reply. No matter how good she is at playing games, what's the point? Her academic performance is her flaw. Her previous exams were so bad, she couldn't just make them up if she wanted to study hard. Lu Rongrong, Yao Yao, is your family really not going to care about her anymore? If your family still takes care of her, she will definitely not be able to drop out of school. Nwao's eyes flashed with a dark light, she pursed her lips, and she replied, she has long drawn a clear line with our family. She changed her name a few days ago, which made my parents very angry. What will happen to her in the future? They won't care about her anymore. It was not easy to drive her out of the N family. She would never let her have the chance to come back. She doesn't allow it. With Nwao's affirmation, Lu Rongrong breathed a sigh of relief. In this way, we will have to wait 2 days for the news to be announced on Monday. Hashtag. Early on Saturday morning, Tao Qingming's call came in. Nanyan is having breakfast. Mr. Tao. Little friend Nan, have you packed up? We are leaving for the imperial capital soon. Well, it's packed. In fact, there is no need to pack anything. It is enough to bring her silver needle bought from the dark realm and 2 sets of changes of clothes. If she needs anything by then, she can buy it there, so there's no need to bring so many things. So she packed a backpack without even taking her suitcase. That's good. Tao Qingming laughed. Little friend Nan, send me a location and I'll pick you up. Good. After hanging up the phone, Nanyan sent Tao Qingming a location. After finishing the last bit of food and putting away the dishes, she picked up her backpack, grabbed a baseball cap, went out, and waited for Tao Qingming at the gate of the community. 10 minutes later, Tao Qingming arrived. Nanyan got in the car and went directly to the airport. Hashtag. Imperial Capital. Cheng family. Mr. Cheng suddenly fell into coma and stunned a group of people. The family doctor is always on call at Cheng's house and will come immediately to check Mr. Cheng. After the examination was completed, the family doctor solemnly said to Ms. Cheng, Madam, Mr. Cheng's condition is in critical condition and he must be admitted to the hospital immediately. Ms. Cheng tapped her cane and said, then what are you waiting for? Go to the hospital quickly. Several cars hurriedly took Mr. Cheng to the Imperial Hospital. Not long after they left, Nanyan and Tao Qingming arrived at Cheng's house. Mr. Tao the housekeeper was familiar with Tao Qingming and greeted him quickly when he saw him coming. How is Mr. Cheng doing today? I specially brought little friend Nan here today to show him. Mr. Cheng suddenly fell into coma and was in critical condition. He was sent to the hospital. The housekeeper looked at the time and said, I just left for more than an hour. As he spoke, he looked at Nanyan. Is this the doctor? Tao Lao said. So small. Nanyan was already very young, and she was dressed in a sporty style with a baseball cap, making her look even younger. If you don't tell me, no one will believe that this little girl knows medical skills. Tao Lao, the president of the Traditional Chinese Medicine Association, highly praised it. It's broken. Tao Qingming's face changed slightly. Little friend Nan, the last time I checked Mr. Cheng, his condition was more dangerous. Now that he is unconscious, his body must be exhausted. Mr. Tao looked anxious. Nan Yan nodded. Mr. Tao, let's go directly to the hospital. Yet Tao Qingming nodded, took Nan Yan's hand and started to walk out. The housekeeper quickly stopped him. Mr. Tao, I'll hire a driver to take you there. That's okay too. Hashtag. The driver took them to Imperial Hospital. After Tao Qingming got off the car, he hurriedly pulled Nan Yan inside. Nan Yan understood his mood and followed him closely without saying anything. On the way, Mr. Tao called Mrs. Cheng and asked about their location, so he ran straight over. Mr. Cheng was still being rescued. The red light above the rescue room was on, and a group of Cheng family members were waiting anxiously outside. Mrs. Cheng saw Tao Qingming coming over, and hurried to greet him in person, her old voice hoarse and choked. Qingming, old Cheng has been rescued in there for so long and is still not out of danger, you hurry in. Tao Qingming said, don't worry, sister-in-law, take care of yourself first, I'll take Nan Xiao in to see. Mrs. Cheng looked around him, where is Nan Xiao? That's her. Tao Qingming pointed to Nan Yan beside him to Mrs. Cheng, sister-in-law, time is running out, let's not talk about it, Nan Xiao and I will go in first. Mrs. Cheng's excitement was like a basin of water poured on her head after seeing Nan Yan's appearance, and her heart suddenly cooled down. Chinese medicine is profound and extensive, and most of the famous doctors are elderly people. Even if they are young, they must be in their 30s or 40s. But the little girl in front of her looked like an underage child. How good could her medical skills be? Although she knew that Tao Qingming would not fool her with such a thing. However, she was full of expectations, but after seeing Nan Yan, she was left with only despair. Could it be that old Cheng really couldn't get through this disaster? Old Madame Cheng was as hopeless as death, but she didn't show anything. She reluctantly nodded to Nan Yan, thank you for your help. You are listening to Novels at Bless Up channel. Wish you happiness and luck. Please subscribe to receive new novels. How do you feel about this novel? Please like and leave a comment. Qin Ye's little ancestor is a real boss. Author, Junanan. Chapter 86. Nan Yan could tell from Mrs. Cheng's expression that she had no hope for her medical skills. It was probably because of Mr. Tao's face that she was allowed to enter the emergency room. She could understand this. So, she said nothing and followed Tao Qingming into the emergency room. Outside the door, the eldest daughter-in-law of the Cheng family frowned and said distrustfully, Mom, is that little girl really okay? Mrs. Cheng calmed down and said in a light voice, whether it is okay or not, it is Qingming's intention. Tell others not to talk nonsense later. Whether or not old Cheng can be saved, it has nothing to do with Qingming and the little girl he brought. The eldest daughter-in-law was startled and said quickly, Mom, I know, I will go and inform them now. Hashtag. In the emergency room, Nan Yan saw Mr. Cheng. An octogenarian with white hair, lying unconscious on the emergency table, with various tubes and instruments inserted into his body. In fact, Mr. Cheng is not that old. He and old lady Cheng were deeply in love and their ages were opposite, but because of the long-term pain and torture, he looked at least a dozen years older than his actual age. Tao Qingming's heart was clenched when he saw old lady Cheng like this. He walked directly to Nan Yan, bent down deeply, and made a very solemn salute to her. Nan Yan was shocked by his action, and before he could continue to bend down, she supported him. Tao Qingming's tone was a little excited, Nan Xiao, please, you must save him. Nan Yan looked at the old man lying on the rescue table and nodded, I will do my best. Several of the doctors who performed the rescue knew Tao Qingming's identity. Seeing him perform such a great salute to a little girl, they couldn't help but be shocked. Who on earth could be worthy of his salute? Soon, the girl walked towards them. When they got closer, their first feeling was that she was young, and the second thought was that she was stunning. There was no trace of makeup on the girl's face. She was naturally beautiful and stunning, and her beauty was subtly aggressive. Nan Yan went over, said something to them, and then put her hand on Cheng Lao's pulse. In fact, just from his face, she had guessed how serious his condition was. But the symptoms from his pulse made her mood more serious. Several doctors wanted to stop her when they saw her approaching Cheng Lao. Tao Qingming stepped forward and told them that Nan Yan knew medical skills. If it was a doctor recommended by others, they would not dare to let her do it casually. But this person was Tao Qingming, the president of the Chinese Medicine Association, and the leading Chinese medicine master in China. Naturally, they did not dare to stop it casually. With Tao Qingming and Nan Yan taking over the treatment, they felt relieved and stood aside to watch. Tao Qingming waited for Nan Yan to let go of old Cheng's hand, and asked nervously, "Is there still hope?" "Fortunately, his body has a chance of survival." Nan Yan said, first took out a pill, removed the oxygen mask on old Cheng's face, and stuffed the pill into his mouth. The doctor who was watching wanted to stop him, but then thought that even if these instruments were left on old Cheng, they would have no effect. Why not wait and see if this little girl can create a miracle? After feeding old Cheng the pill, Nan Yan took out the silver needle again. Then he twisted the silver needle slowly and inserted it into several major acupuncture points on his body. Soon, dozens of silver needles were inserted into old Cheng's body. After all the silver needles were used up, Nan Yan took out her mobile phone, quickly wrote a prescription, and sent it to Tao Qingming. "Old Tao, go and boil a dose of medicine now, you personally watch the fire, and bring it in when it's done." "Okay." Tao Qingming nodded and strode out. Hashtag. The Cheng family members waiting outside the door saw the door of the emergency room open and immediately walked towards the door. Seeing that it was Tao Qingming coming out, Ms. Cheng hurriedly asked, "Qingming, how is old Cheng?" "Old sister-in-law, don't worry," Nan Xiao said that there is still a glimmer of hope in old brother Cheng's body, and he can get through this difficult time. Really, Ms. Cheng's heart jumped out with hope. Does that little miracle doctor really have a way to save old Cheng? Nan Xiao won't say anything nonsense, just relax. Tao Qingming didn't dare to waste more time, comforted Ms. Cheng, and said, "I still have to boil medicine for old brother Cheng, and wait for Nan Xiao to come out and let her tell the old sister-in-law." Ms. Cheng, "Okay, go quickly." Hashtag. 40 minutes later, Tao Qingming entered the emergency room again with the boiled medicine. During this period, the people inside seemed to have not even changed their positions. The only one who moved was Nan Yan. During this period, she adjusted the acupuncture for old Cheng several times. In just 40 minutes, it was visible to the naked eye that elder Cheng's originally grayish complexion had improved a little. His weak, almost intermittent breathing also returned to normal. These two changes alone made the doctors present look at Nan Yan's medical skills with new eyes. "Friend Nan, the medicine is here." Nan Yan took the half bowl of medicine with a strong bitter taste from him and said clearly, "Old Tao, you help elder Cheng up, I will feed him." Tao Qingming responded and went to help elder Cheng. But because of the posture problem, it was a bit difficult to help him up. The doctors who had been watching were finally put to use and came to help. They helped elder Cheng up with their hands and feet. Nan Yan held the bowl and put it close to his mouth. Just as she was about to feed him, a doctor quickly said, "That, Miss Nan, Mr. Cheng has lost his ability to swallow. You can't feed him like this." Okay. Nan Yan directly pressed an acupuncture point on Mr. Cheng's throat, and the bowl of medicine near his mouth was swallowed by him one mouthful at a time. "Doctors, can it be like this?" Chinese medicine is really magical. After feeding Mr. Cheng the medicine, Nan Yan took off all the silver needles on his body and said in a calm voice, "Don't let Mr. Cheng lie here, go to the ward. He can sleep more comfortably there." "Is Mr. Cheng out of danger?" Tao Qingming asked with a trembling voice. Nan Yan nodded, and then explained, "He is in a sleeping state now, no longer in a coma, but because his body is too damaged, he can't support him to wake up for a while." Tao Qingming hurriedly took Mr. Cheng's pulse himself. The tense nerves finally relaxed. "Nan Xiao, thank you so much," Tao Qingming said with some excitement. "If you hadn't come with me this time, I'm afraid that Brother Cheng, alas." "Mr. Tao, you don't have to be so polite to me." Nan Yan was very calm. "This is because Mr. Cheng and I are destined to be together. She always saves people according to fate. She doesn't deliberately look for patients, nor does she register as a doctor in the hospital. Go out first, Mr. Cheng's family must be very worried." Qin Ye's little ancestor is a real boss. Author, Junanan. Chapter 87. When the Cheng family members saw Mr. Cheng being pushed out, they hurriedly asked about his situation. Knowing that he had passed the danger, most of the haze outside the rescue room immediately dissipated. After putting Mr. Cheng into the VIP ward first, Mrs. Cheng solemnly thanked Nan Yan. Nan Yan said a few polite words to them, but looked a little irritated when seeing so many people. Mrs. Cheng was also a good judge of expressions. She asked everyone else to go out first. She, Nan Yan and Tao Qingming were the only ones left in the ward. With fewer people around, Nan Yan's mood eased a bit. Mrs. Cheng sat beside the hospital bed, holding old Cheng's more wrinkled hand with her wrinkled hand, with hope in her eyes. "Little miracle doctor, can old Cheng's body still get better? As long as there is a way, no matter what the cost, we can pay it. Mr. Cheng's body has suffered too much wear and tear, and those old injuries have caused irreversible damage to him." Nan Yan's clear voice and unhurried tone made Mrs. Cheng's heart twitch again. "It is no longer possible for him to get well like ordinary people, but with good care in the later stage, it is possible to relieve his pain and live a few years easily. If Mr. Cheng can cooperate with the treatment, relax his mind, and avoid emotional ups and downs, he can still have at least 5 years. Mrs. Cheng's emotions were like riding a roller coaster, up and down. When she heard that Nan Yan was sure to alleviate Mr. Cheng's pain and allow him to live for 5 more years, she was so excited that tears filled her eyes. "Old Cheng, did you hear that? The little miracle doctor can save you. You must hold on. I want to stay with you for a few more years. You have suffered for so many years. When you get better, we will just be like an ordinary old married couple, ignore everything and travel around the world. Let's go see the beautiful scenery around the world together." Mrs. Cheng burst into tears when she finished speaking. Tao Qingming took out a tissue and handed it to her. When Mrs. Cheng's mood stabilized a little, she looked at Nan Yan sheepishly. "My little miracle doctor, I made you laugh." "It's nothing." Nan Yan shook his head. "Madam, Mr. Cheng's body needs to be slowly recuperated. He needs daily diet therapy and Chinese medicine. A two-pronged approach will give better results. The medicinal materials for daily conditioning are not too precious and can be easily collected. However, some of the life-saving medicines are relatively rare and you need to look for them. When all the medicine is found, ask Mr. Tao to bring me the medicinal materials, refine them into pills, and then give them to Mr. Cheng." Mrs. Cheng said solemnly, "Little miracle doctor, if you need any medicine, just tell me and I will definitely find it." Nan Yan immediately wrote down 2 prescriptions, as well as a 7-day cycle of dietary prescriptions. Mrs. Cheng took the list, thanked her repeatedly and asked, "Little miracle doctor, how many days will you stay in the imperial capital? Does Lao Cheng's situation require any further treatment?" Nan Yan said, "I will stay until tomorrow afternoon and come back to give Mr. Cheng acupuncture tomorrow." The rest is just a matter of drinking medicine. For the first prescription, start drinking it as soon as Mr. Chen wakes up, twice a day without interruption. For the second prescription, once the medicinal materials are purchased, they will be sent to Jinjinj. If there is any kind of medicinal material that cannot be purchased through your channels, just tell me and I will find a way. Where do you live? Ms. Cheng paused for a moment and then said, or, live at Cheng's house. Tao Qingming chuckled and said, sister-in-law, just let Xiao Nan live with me. He has his own residence in Imperial City. Okay, little miracle doctor, if you need anything in the future, just ask, the Cheng family will definitely do everything they can to help. Ms. Cheng's status in the Cheng family is the same as Ms. Qin's status in the Qin family. In addition, her husband's family is in the army, a loyal family, and her words are true to her word. What she said to Nan Yan was a promise. Nan Yan didn't shirk, and nodded lightly. Accumulating connections is also very important to her now. Hashtag. After leaving the hospital, Nan Yan sat in the car, feeling a little tired. With her eyes closed, she planned to take a nap, but the phone rang. Squeezing her brows, Nan Yan took out her phone, looked at the caller ID on it, tried to cheer up, and chose to answer the call. Brother, is something wrong? Can't I call you if nothing happens? Qin Lu's deep and magnetic voice, with a hint of teasing, sounded in her ears. Of course Nan Yan smiled obediently and softly, thank you, brother, for remembering me. Qin Lu was in the office, leaning elegantly on the black boss chair, and asked unhurriedly. Kid, what are you doing? After he came back, he started to hold meetings in the company. He dealt with some things all night, and there was another meeting in the morning. Now that I have just had some free time, I think of the children who were left in Jinjinj. He didn't contact her, and the little guy didn't even send him a message. Bai felt distressed. Nan Yan lied calmly, I didn't do anything, just played some games to pass the time. Qin Lu bent his fingers and tapped on the table, wanting to ask her if Shen Junqing had gone to find her. That guy Shen San was so unruly that he was worried that he would lead the children into mischief. His eyes darkened, and he asked tentatively, are you at home? Nan Yan raised her head and glanced at Tao Qingming, who was sitting next to her, nodded, and then realized that he couldn't see it, and said softly, yes. Yan Yan, lock the door and don't open it to outsiders, you know. Qin Lu rarely called her Yan Yan, most of the time, he called her little friend. Suddenly calling her like this, his voice inexplicably sounded sweet and seductive over the phone. Nan Yan couldn't help it, and her mind popped up his appearance when they first met. Her little face blushed uncontrollably. She bit her lip and replied obediently, I know, brother. The little girl's obedience made Qin Lu quite satisfied. He raised a light arc at the corner of his lips, I forgot to ask you yesterday, how did you do in the exam? Nan Yan considered the words, it should be okay. What gift do you want? I'll bring it to you when I go back in a few days. Brother, you are not sincere now, Nan Yan said seriously, whoever gives a gift should ask the recipient what he wants. How can it be a surprise in this way? So, you want a surprise? Qin Lu's voice revealed some love that he himself did not realize, you are really a little friend. Then prepare a surprise for Yan Yan. But, what if I don't do well in the exam? Then treat it as a consolation gift. Nan Yan blinked. Can it be like this? Doesn't it mean that no matter whether she does well or not in the exam, she will get a gift? Qin Lu did not wait for her to be moved, and said leisurely, but you have to transfer to another school. The teaching here in the imperial capital is good, otherwise, would you consider it? Qin Ye's little ancestor is a real boss. Author, Junanan. Chapter 88. Nan Yan licked her lips and smiled perversely, brother, maybe not. Wait until you see my grades, and you'll know why. Qin Lu raised his eyebrows when he heard her say this. It seems that the little guy is very confident and thinks he did well in the exam. Okay, then brother will wait to see your transcript. In fact, Qin Lu really wants to transfer Nanyan to the imperial capital. First, Mrs. Qin likes to be with her. If Nanyan doesn't come, it will probably not take long for the old lady to go to Jinqing to find her again. Second, his work in Jinqing will not take too long. When he returns to the imperial capital, he should have little time to go to Jinqing again. He is not very reassured to leave her, a child who is not loved by her father and mother, there. But judging from Nanyan's meaning, she does not want to transfer schools, so he can only suppress this idea for the time being. Yan, be a good boy by yourself, and don't follow Shen-san to places where children shouldn't go. The low and magnetic voice, neither hurried nor slow, fell into Nanyan's ears through the phone. Nanyan listened to his voice, and her face was inexplicably hot, as if he was whispering in her ear. The subwoofer was so beautiful that her heart could not help but speed up. She calmly took the phone a little further away and replied softly, "Okay." Qin Lu was very busy, and just after a break, Wu Yu came in hurriedly, "Master, Marcus." Wu Yu was halfway through speaking, and saw Qin Lu on the phone, and quickly covered his mouth. Oh my God! He was too reckless. Zhu Rang didn't notice that the master was on the phone. Nanyan heard Wu Yu's voice and asked obediently, "Brother, do you have something to do over there?" "You go first, I'm fine here." "Okay, I'll call you in the evening." "Okay." Hashtag. Qin Lu hung up the phone and raised his eyes indifferently. That look was cold and oppressive, with shock and displeasure. Wu Yu's legs trembled, and under the huge pressure, he lowered his head and stood stiffly in the same place as if he was being judged. "Next time, don't knock before entering. Go directly to the finance department to settle your salary." Wu Yu breathed a sigh of relief and quickly admitted his mistake. Master, I was wrong." He was too excited. Mr. Marcus finally agreed to sign a contract, so he couldn't wait to tell the master the good news. Qin Lu put his phone on the table and said indifferently, "What's the matter? Tell me." Wu Yu stuttered, Master, Mr. Marcus invites you to have dinner together tonight and sign a contract. Which restaurant do you think we should book? Check Marcus' appetite and book it according to his preferences. After you book it, send me the location and time." "Yes." Hashtag. Longkai Villa. Tao Qingming's residence in the imperial capital. "Tonight, Nanyan will stay here. I agreed with Anziran before that I would take some time every day to cooperate with the people in the team. On Saturdays and Sundays, Nanyan had more free time. After returning from the hospital, she went online to play games. Anziran pulled her into their team group. After getting to know several team members, she didn't say much and went straight into the game. Time passed quickly while playing games. In a flash, it was already around 5 in the afternoon. After Tao Qingming answered the call from old Madame Cheng, he knocked on the door. "Come in." Nanyan's clear voice sounded faintly. Tao Qingming then pushed the door open and came in. As soon as he came in, he said with a smile, "Friend Nan, it's time for dinner now. Let's go eat." "Go outside." Nanyan saw Tao Qingming's attitude and knew that he was going to eat outside. And the people who were eating would not be just the two of them. "Yes, the Cheng family wants to treat you to a meal. Also, Mr. Cheng woke up at 3 o'clock this afternoon, and he is in very good condition after waking up." Nanyan continued to control the character in the game, cooperating with Anziran's team, and replied calmly, "If Mr. Cheng's body is well adjusted, he will be more relaxed in the next few years. Sorry, I can't make him healed." "Friend Nan, you don't have to say that. In fact, Being able to alleviate Mr. Cheng's pain and prolong his life is already a good result. Tao Qingming also knew that nothing can be forced. He has been adjusting Cheng Jingchuan's body for so many years, so he naturally knows his physical condition. With his medical skills, it is already the limit for him to hold on until now. If he hadn't met Nan Yan, it is very likely that Mr. Cheng would not be able to get through this disaster. Now he is very grateful for such a result. Tao Qingming calmed down and said with a smile, "Nan Xiao, the Cheng family invited you to dinner. If you don't go, they will feel that they are not hospitable. You saved Mr. Cheng, you should go to this dinner. It's just a meal, I promise, there will be nothing else." Nan Yan had no choice but to agree. "Okay, then wait for me." "No hurry, no hurry, anyway, it's still early, Nan Xiao, you go ahead and do your work, I'll wait for you outside." The game was playing externally, and someone was talking inside, but Nanjin turned off the microphone after Tao Qingming came in. At this time, Anziran was calling her in the game. "Yeah." After Tao Qingming left, Nan Yan turned on the microphone. "Fourth brother, I have something to do here, so I have to log off early. I will play the game again when I come back early in the evening." Oh, Anziran agreed. "Okay, you go and do your work first, we will continue in the evening, or tomorrow if you have something to do." "Okay." After Nan Yan finished speaking, she quit the game directly. She looked down at the clothes on her body, and after thinking about it, she opened her backpack and took out a long skirt to change into. After changing, Nan Yan took her mobile phone and walked out of the room. "Mr. Tao, let's go." Hashtag. Nan Yan and Tao Qingming left Longkai Villa, and the Cheng family's car was already waiting outside. The one who came to pick them up was Cheng Jingchuan's eldest grandson Chen Yanzhao. When he was in the hospital before, he was also outside the emergency room and met Nan Yan, but they didn't say anything. "Mr. Tao, Miss Nan." Chen Yanzhao was waiting in front of the car. When he saw the two people coming out, he greeted them politely. He is elegant, tall, and polite, like a gentleman who has walked out of a book. "Yanzhao, why did you come here in person?" Tao Qingming said with a smile. Chen Yanzhao smiled slightly. "I should come in person to invite Mr. Tao and Miss Nan to dinner, otherwise it would be impolite." Nan Yan stood beside Tao Qingming and didn't say anything. He just nodded to him when Chen Yanzhao looked over. "Let's get in the car first." The three of them got in the car, and Chen Yanzhao drove it himself. When he buckled his seat belt, he turned sideways and said to Nan Yan, "I don't know what Miss Nan likes to eat, so I made the decision on my own and booked Quanjing Pavilion. The dishes there are more complete." Nan Yan curled her lips nonchalantly. "Anything is fine, I'm not picky." Hashtag. Quanjing Pavilion. Qin Lu's car stopped in front of the store. When he was about to get out of the car, he glanced and saw a little guy who should be in Jinqing at this time. You are listening to Novels at Bless Up channel. Wish you happiness and luck. Please subscribe to receive new novels. How do you feel about this novel? Please like and leave a comment. Qin Ye's little ancestor is a real boss. Author, Junanan. Chapter 89. Very good. When we talked on the phone before, she swore that she would stay at home obediently. Is she so obedient? Qin Lu laughed a little angrily. It was really impossible to expect this restless little thing to settle down. Then, he saw Chen Yanzhao who walked around the front of the car and came to her side. Chen Yanzhao was very polite to Nan Yan. When he spoke, he looked at her with a gentle smile on his face. And Nan Yan also smiled and answered him. Seeing this scene, Qin Lu pulled his collar and sneered. The little guy's relationship with the opposite sex is really too good. In Jinqing, there is Shen Junqing. Coming to the imperial capital, there is Chen Yanzhao. Qin Lu took out his mobile phone and sent a message to Nan Yan. Walking to the door, Nan Yan, who was about to go in, felt the phone vibrate and picked it up directly. A text message from Qin Ye. Out of fear of the soul, Nan Yan quickly clicked to read. Little friend, what are you doing? Nan Yan poked on the screen and replied a sentence. After she finished replying, she also went inside. A door blocked Qin Lu's sight. The phone in his palm vibrated, he lowered his eyes and clicked the screen. It's time to eat, brother, no matter how busy you are at work, don't forget to eat on time. Qin Lu smiled silently. The more obedient the message is, the more disobedient the person is. Qin Lu, not eating at home. Nan Yan, well, I don't want to cook by myself, just go out to eat a little. Qin Lu, what to eat outside? Nan Yan, I haven't decided yet, I'll just take a look later, as long as I can eat enough. Qin Lu looked at the message sent by Nan Yan and bit his back teeth. What a little liar who lies easily. Nan Yan followed Chen Yanzhao into a private room. Chen Yanzhao was very discerning, and when he saw that she was replying to the message, he stopped talking to her. Qin Lu, okay, what to eat later, remember to take a photo of brother. Nan Yan? Why take a photo? If she took photos here, wouldn't she be exposed? Nan Yan had a headache, but she didn't dare to refuse Qin Ye's request. She simply opened the web page and searched for food in the gallery. Then, she found a photo of beef noodles and prepared to send it to him later. Then she replied directly, okay, brother. Hashtag. Qin Lu was very curious about what kind of photos Nan Yan would send him later. He didn't reply to Nan Yan again, put away his phone, opened the door and got out of the car. The receptionist quickly ran over and helped him park the car. Wu Yu went to pick up Marcus and would take him directly to the reserved private room later. Qin Lu went to the private room first. When they passed the private room reserved by Chen Yanzhao, the door of their room was not closed. Qin Lu saw Nan Yan sitting diagonally opposite the door through the crack of the door, and Chen Yanzhao was standing beside her, bending down to say something to her. Qin Lu's footsteps paused. For a moment, he wanted to push the door open and pull the little girl out. But the impulse was quickly suppressed by reason. This was Nan Yan's private matter, and he had no reason to disturb her. Thinking of this, Qin Lu retracted his gaze and strode away. As if she noticed his gaze, Nan Yan looked up. But she only saw a cold and desolate back. Chen Yanzhao was still introducing the special dishes of Quanjing Pavilion to her, and he was ready to serve all the special dishes. Nan Yan quickly interrupted him and said, "These dishes are too many, please order less, there are only 3 of us." Chen Yanzhao smiled gently, "Okay, then, just order what I just said, okay." Nan Yan's eyebrows were clear and indifferent, and her beautiful peach blossom eyes were ostentatious and bright. She stretched out her hand and clicked on the menu a few times, and said directly, "Just serve these 6 dishes, don't take the rest. 3 people, 5 dishes, and 1 soup, it's enough. Too much, it's a waste." Tao Qingming also agreed, "Yes, order less, too much and you can't finish it." "Well, let's order these first, and we'll order more if it's not enough." Chen Yanzhao was a little curious about Nan Yan. At a young age, she has great medical skills and a calm and decisive personality. Such an excellent person can easily attract excellent people. He thought about it and wanted to find a topic to chat with Nan Yan, but found that she was messaging someone else again. The words were about to come to his mouth, but he took them back. Nan Yan sent the photo of beef noodles she found on the internet to Qin Lu. At this time, Qin Lu was sitting in the private room he booked, with a cigarette on his fingertips, and a red dot flickered. After receiving the message, he opened the photo. SHHH. Qin Lu crushed the cigarette in his hand into the ashtray. The little guy was really good at lying. If he hadn't just seen her and saw this, he would have believed it. His slender fingertips tapped on the screen, and he replied, "Brother is not here, so you deal with yourself like this." "Nan Yan, there is meat, vegetables and a braised egg in the noodles, which is both carbohydrate and protein, how can I deal with it?" She still has a lot of little truths. Qin Lu did not expose her, and sent another sentence, "A bowl of noodles, is that enough?" Nan Yan, "Yes, that's enough." Nan Yan was afraid that she would say too much and reveal her flaws, so she quickly said, "Brother, I'll eat first, the noodles will clump up in a while." Qin Lu, "Yes, eat." After replying, he put down his phone, tapped his slender fingertips on the table, and his eyes were dark. Not long after, Wu Yu came with Marcus. After entering the door, Qin Lu had returned to normal, stood up, took a few steps forward, and shook hands with Marcus. "Hello Mr. Marcus." Marcus smiled generously, "Mr. Qin, I have long admired your name. Actually, I have wanted to meet Mr. Qin for a long time, but due to some things, I have not been able to meet him until now." Marcus is the executive officer of Merck Biological Company in M country and a large partner of Qin's family. The Qin family has many companies and industries under its name, but it was only after Qin Lu took charge of the Qin family that he started to get involved in the medical field. The two of them exchanged formal politeness, sat down separately, and started talking about work again. Marcus couldn't refuse the conditions given by Qin Lu, so he signed a 3-year contract at the dinner table. After signing the contract, Qin Lu casually tested, "Mr. Marcus, I heard that your company has a chief scientist, Alice. I admire her very much. I wonder if you can help introduce her so that I can meet her." Marcus' face changed slightly, and a flash of pain flashed under his eyes, but it quickly disappeared and his smile returned. "I want to ask her what she means. I can't agree on her behalf," he explained humorously, "but I think it's unlikely. Alice doesn't like to interact with outsiders. She spends every day in the laboratory doing research. For her, anything else except doing research is meaningless." "I see." Qin Lu nodded, "But I still hope Mr. Marcus can help pass on a message. I have something to ask her for help, and the reward is whatever she wants." Qin Ye's little ancestor is a real boss. Author, Junanan. Chapter 90. Marcus nodded, "Mr. Qin, rest assured. I will pass on your words to Alice intact." Qin Qiu nodded, "Thank you. Thank you Mr. Qin for your hospitality. If there is nothing else, I will take my leave first." Marcus's mood was about to be broken, and he didn't want to stay with Qin Lu any longer. Mainly, he was afraid that he would continue to ask him about Alice. For nearly 2 months, he had no news of Alice, and even the explosion in the laboratory made him suspect that she was inside. But Shishkin said that when the laboratory exploded, there was no one inside. Not only that, he also found out that Shishkin had wiped out all traces of Alice's existence, and the outside world didn't even know that there was such a person as her. He knew there must be a secret in it, but he had been secretly investigating for so long, but there was no clue at all. He was afraid of alarming Shishkin, so he could only let it go for the time being. He didn't know why Qin Lu was looking for Alice. Anyway, no matter what the reason was, he had no chance to contact Alice again. He just had to reply to him with a disagreement in 2 days. Qin Lu stood up, "Since Mr. Marcus has something to do, I'll take you there." "No, no," Marcus waved his hand quickly, "I can go by myself." "How can that be? Mr. Marcus is our honored guest. How can we let you go by yourself?" Qin Lu's lips curled up with a faint smile, and he made a dignified and elegant gesture of "Please, Mr. Marcus, don't be polite to me." "Marcus? Who wants to be polite to him? He just doesn't want to be with him anymore, afraid that he will continue to ask. But, since people are so attentive to take him there, he can't refuse." He had to reluctantly agree. Wu Yu saw that the young master wanted to take him there personally, and he was also very tactful. He went outside to pay the bill first and didn't care about anything else. Qin Lu and Marcus walked out slowly. When they passed the box where Nan Yan was, they didn't know how it happened so coincidentally that the door was also opened. Chen Yanzhao opened the door, Tao Qingming walked in first, and Nan Yan was the second. Under normal circumstances, Qin Lu would not stop and would just pass by, but now, he happened to be standing outside the box. Nan Yan saw Qin Lu standing outside, and her mind was suddenly blank. The first reaction, how could he be here? The second reaction, she was done. Is there anything more embarrassing than being caught lying in public? Anyway, she couldn't think of it for the time being. Brother. Because she took the initiative to admit her mistake and was given a lighter sentence, she hurriedly called out obediently. Qin Lu touched his cheek with the tip of his tongue, smiled silently, and his dark eyes seemed to be stained with ink. Little friend, did you eat beef noodles here? Brother, I was wrong. Nan Yan lowered her head and admitted her mistake in a very good manner. I'm sorry, I didn't mean to lie to you. Tao Qingming, Chen Yanzhao, and Marcus were all a little stunned when they saw this scene. Chen Yanzhao naturally knew Qin Lu. He also knew that there had never been any women around him, except for Mrs. Qin and his mother. But judging from his attitude towards Nan Yan, he obviously knew her and they had a good relationship. Mr. Qin, if you have something to do, I can leave by myself. Marcus felt relieved. He hoped that Qin Lu had something to do and couldn't send him off, so he could leave by himself. Nan Yan then realized that Marcus was actually here. Why did he come here? Nan Yan subconsciously wanted to speak. Then she realized that she was no longer herself, but had changed her identity and started over. She couldn't recognize Marcus yet. Qin Lu smiled softly, Mr. Marcus, please wait for me for 2 minutes. That attitude made it impossible to refuse. Marcus really wanted to leave by himself, but when facing Qin Lu, he was destined to wait. Okay. Marcus rubbed his forehead and responded helplessly. Qin Lu once again set his sights on the girl, and asked slowly with a nice bass, are you here today? Nan Yan nodded, yeah. When are you leaving? Tomorrow. There are still classes on Monday. Qin Lu calculated that he couldn't make it in time. Even if he worked all night tonight, he couldn't leave tomorrow. Temporarily giving up the idea of going back with her, he asked in a calm voice, little friend, where are you staying tonight? Nan Yan didn't hide it either, and said very obediently, I'm in Longkai Villa with Tao Lao. The old lady misses you very much. As soon as she came back, she kept talking about wanting to go back to Jinjinj to find you. Tonight, how about you accompany her? Qin Lu's voice was rare and gentle, and he was very patient. Chen Yanzhao couldn't help but look at him a few more times. Such a young master Qin is rare. After all, no matter what occasion Qin Lu appears in, he has always been cold and majestic, the kind that makes people surrender automatically at a glance. What is the relationship between him and Nan Yan? Nan Yan was stunned for a moment, and finally nodded under Qin Lu's gaze, okay. Qin Lu reached out and rubbed her little head, I'll pick you up at Longkai Villa in the evening. Okay. After talking to Nan Yan, Qin Lu looked at Tao Qingming and Chen Yanzhao, nodded slightly to the two, and left with Marcus without saying anything more. Nan Yan stared at Marcus's back as he walked away, and some emotions came out uncontrollably. Soon, she suppressed him again. It won't be long. They will have a chance to meet again. Hashtag. Although Tao Qingming and Chen Yanzhao were curious about the relationship between Nan Yan and Qin Lu. However, they were very polite and didn't ask rashly. Chen Yanzhao called a car and sent them back to Longkai Villa. The three got off the car, and he once again expressed the Cheng family's gratitude to Nan Yan. Nan Yan answered casually, this is just what I should do as a doctor. Tao Qingming laughed and said, Yan Zhao, Nan Xiao's personality is like this. You will know it after getting along with her for a long time. She is cold on the outside but warm on the inside. Chen Yanzhao nodded in understanding and smiled gently, I see. I am too particular about etiquette, not as free and easy as Miss Nan. Nan Yan. After returning to the house, Nan Yan said apologetically, Mr. Tao, I'm sorry to trouble you. Tao Qingming waved his hand quickly, it's okay, it's good that you have a place to live. I didn't ask clearly before. If I had known that you knew the Cheng family, I would not have taken on this job and let you live here with me. But tomorrow's flight. I'll go with you. Okay. Tao Qingming nodded, then wait a while, Mr. Qin will come to pick you up, and you can go with him. Okay, Nan Yan responded lightly. While waiting, she logged into the game again and cooperated with Anziran's team. Around 8 o'clock, Tao Qingming came over and said, Nan Xiao, your brother is here to pick you up. Anziran, Yan Yan, what brother?